Good evening, this is Atmospheric Alex here, and welcome back to another weather forecast and discussion video. I'm happy to say that I am finally going to be back for good, as I am all done with my final exams and I'll have a lot more free time to do these videos. We're going to be talking about an active severe weather pattern coming right up here for some portions of the United States. We're talking about a ring of fire pattern. Basically, a pattern where you have a high pressure down the Gulf and you have storms being steered from the southwest to the east down to the southeast, kind of in this general direction, like this arrow up here is showing. So we're going to have a lot to talk about here, but I do plan on keeping this a bit shorter. Before we dive into all the severe weather, we're going to look at our temperature outlook over the next 6 to 10 days from the Climate Prediction Center. We are talking about a pretty large area of above average temperatures here, definitely going up into the 80s for a lot of these areas, so it looks like a little taste of summer is finally arriving. I mean, it's about time, right? Out here in the west, mostly below average, and of course California, you're going to stay a little bit hot over there, but you know, you got to get used to it at some point, right? Now for our European model, this is a little more of an accurate model, which is why I'm using it, so you could see today's high temperatures here getting up across into the upper 80s here across the upper Midwest and northern plains. Down the southeast, had a few thunderstorms, but still sticking in the 80s, and anywhere in between 60s and 70s. Very nice weather down here. Up into the 100s already. This is ridiculous. Already for Phoenix, Arizona, cracking 100. Isn't that crazy? And we're going to head into tomorrow here, and you can see a tropical, no, that's not a tropical system, just a normal low pressure system that is right here. Is going to be moving in this general motion, kind of like this in a way. Not too quickly, and it won't be too strong. Look at your temperatures up here going into your upper Midwest, northern plains. 80s and even a couple 90s were cracking up here. North Dakota, Montana, South Dakota. You are down in the negatives about probably a couple of months ago, if even that. So absolutely crazy up there. Looking for these areas in here, Georgia, look at that. And you're look at upper 50s for your high temperature. It's going to be a little bit chilly out there, and then of course other areas as well. Staying pretty cool for this time of year, so that is going to feel incredibly nice, right? Going into Sunday, Mother's Day, same thing. Heating up even more, closing in on mid-90s up there. Wow, already it's just, I mean, goodness, we're not even near summer yet, and we're already getting quite a lot of heat going on, and look at that. And then it really begins to set up shop as we go more into next week, and just take a look at that. Very warm temperatures here. Look at that, 80s and even a couple of 90s in there, and then your frontal systems move through and your severe weather cranks up into high gear. What is that going to look like? Let's look at our European model. They have some general showers and thunderstorms going into early next week, but as we go here, looks like into Wednesday, we have a bit of a low pressure system here, maybe sparking some severe weather on its northern end. That's a little bit bizarre, isn't it? You have another one up here, so I guess it makes sense. And nothing quite yet. Wouldn't shock me if we saw some severe weather trying to develop here, maybe along a frontal boundary. If that doesn't happen, it sure will the next day as we go into Thursday. You know, more isolated, but you could see some kind of more of your linear features here that begin to develop, which would promote damaging winds and potentially even some hail, especially further south. But that's going to be something we really need to keep an eye on. Look at that here, some of your storms. And this up here, we're going to start seeing a lot of these, what you would call mesoscale convective systems that push through, into the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, into the southeast. They become a lot more common in the early summertime period. Look at that one moving the other direction, going back down to the southwest, back to East Tennessee, and this one's going this way, and it's like this all over the place, right? Yeah, it's quite a crazy time of year. More severe weather segments could develop going into next Friday as well. Look at some of these here. And could pack quite the punch here. Talk about, like I said, damaging winds, some hail, maybe even a limited tornado risk. And look at that. More of your segments here. Wouldn't even raw a stray 70 to 80 mile an hour gusts in some of these storms, as they will be in extremely favorable storm energy that continues on through. Even a couple more here. Just look at that. on and off, and then your plains really wake back up again going later on. We'll look at that later in limited detail. How much available moisture will you have? Let's look at our dew point values going into Wednesday. We're talking about dew points in your low 70s here, a very large area. As we especially go on into Thursday here, look at that, even cracking at mid-70s going up into Indiana here. We're talking about a large warm sector. This is basically going to be air so humid that you could practically drink it. I mean, my gosh. And then continuing on through, dew points are just going to be super duper soupy out there, being like you're being mixed into a stew, basically. Absolutely ridiculous. And your Gulf just so humid. And look at, even into your upper 70s down there for Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, gonna be super moist out there indeed. So just wow. Definitely gonna start feeling like June here soon. Let's take a look at your storm energy going on into next Tuesday. Could have some severe weather across Oklahoma and Texas if your dry air aloft allows it to happen, because we'll have some issues with that. And as you can see going on into Wednesday here, look at that, 3,000 to 4,000 storm energy across Missouri, Arkansas, going into Texas, Louisiana, portions of Oklahoma, and Kansas. Definitely suitable for severe weather. And even this down here, you have likely some higher values of wind shear. So you could maybe see a storm form here and gradually start to bow out more with damaging winds heading on off to your southeast. Hence why I have it labeled in the thumbnail. Look at this going on into Thursday, 4,000 to 5,500 storm energy. My goodness, yes, anything that forms here, big time wind risk for sure. We're probably going to be talking about a lot of downdraft cape with that as well. And this really just continues. Classic ring of fire pattern here. Storms form, they go up like this and down like that. Classic ring shape going back around here kind of like this a little bit. So gonna be very interesting for sure. Definitely have the opportunity for some significant severe weather events, and that migrates off to the south as a cold front pushes in on through. And then it migrates even further back off into the plains. How about your supercell composite from your GFS model? You saw some stuff there for Tuesday, but not much. Going into Wednesday, slightly more elevated parameters in your oranges and reds there really begin to fire off. But really looking on into Thursday here, look at that. Again, just this classic ramp up and ramp down like that. So stuff could really get interesting with this. And for sure, getting in at some of your red colors here, orange colors, we are going to have a very broad risk for severe weather. Probably, I wouldn't even be shocked if we see a level 3 out of 5 one of these days coming up. Look at on Friday. A lot more elevated parameters going into Middle Tennessee. Not a forecast too far out, but anything that forms is going to be very significant in nature and is going to be quite large. Quite large mesoscale convective systems are possible going into next week. How about your GEFS mean supercell composite? This is your ensemble blend. Definitely taking a look at some severe weather possible in Texas and Oklahoma. Dry air aloft should limit that. And on Tuesday, Wednesday, much broader area, but it'll probably be more concentrated, say like right within here, give or take any direction. We could be talking about that firing off. And look at Thursday here. My goodness, definitely a significant severe weather event / outbreak is possible. Look at that. Very consolidated region of orange colors. Wouldn't even be shocked to see a couple red colors peek into there as well. So, certainly has got that look. Got your storms originating here and doing something like this. So, yeah. Very favorable for bowing out segments of damaging winds. I sound like a broken record, but it's kind of the pattern we're going to be in. And then you can see a section right here on Friday could be a lot more significant as well, going into, portions of Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, Indiana, Kentucky. East Tennessee needs to watch as well. My folks out there, including me, I am watching this closely. I think I will finally get to see a severe thunderstorm this year. and then back out in the plains, start to get a little more elevated activity. That's as far as the model goes. With that being said, thank you so much for tuning into today's video. I know it was a lot shorter, and that's a good thing, because this is a new kind of type of style I'm going to start doing here. Enough with the 20-minute detailed videos. Let's roll in the 12-minute, much more fast-paced in nature videos, right? More of your generic general public forecasting. And with that said, please feel free to smash that like button, subscribe to my little corner of the weather community, share with friends and family on social media, and even leave a comment in the section below if you wish. And hopefully I can wind up getting some severe weather. This is all a hypothetical thing here, but if this could actually happen, I would be a happy camper, to say the least. Alright, have a wonderful night, everyone.